first hit of the year.
He drives one, deep left field. That goes Upton, back near the wall. It's out of here! Bartolo has done it!
What's going on, guys? Who's on first? Coming back at you. Baseball's coming back. Don here with Big Gleiss. Gleiss, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, everybody? Glad to be back.
Yeah, man. So finally, the Crybabies versus the Crybabies has ended.
Right.
We're going to have a baseball season. Pretty impressed that they got it done. 60 games. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about how it's going to go down, how everything is going to feel. I mean, personally, it's going to – I feel weird about it. 60 games in 66 days. 6 days off for these guys. I mean, granted, I think that kind of is on the norm, though. Maybe a little less. But yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I like that we're getting baseball.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, players are returning back to camp on July 1st, which is in a couple weeks, which would be great. And apparently, there's going to be something here in South Bend. I don't know what.
It's rumors. I've heard the rumors too.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to be, if the Chicago Cubs are going to be coming here, or is it going to be like a split squad, or I don't know. I'm not sure. Then apparently they're looking to start games on July 23rd and 24th or. So that's kind of quick, because you look at like hockey and basketball, and they've been talking and doing all this phase stuff and what's going on. Like tonight, you have the NHL draft lottery and everything, but they're still not really talking about, how they're gonna come. I mean, they know how they're gonna come back, but they don't know, like, they don't have any dates yet,
right?
So to speak. Like, they don't know when camp's gonna start. And then our Timmy Panarin for the Rangers yesterday kind of threw a monkey wrench in everything when he was, bitching about escrow and everything, and that's a whole big thing. But I'll cover that on Sunday. On Monday, but we'll cover that in our hockey episode. But so yeah, it's going to be 60 games. It's going to be split. So I'll use the Mets because I'm a Met fan. So they're going to play 10 games against each division opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at, and that goes for everybody, which I don't know how it's going to work for you guys, because you guys have 5 teams in your division.
I'm sure they're probably still working the math out. They still have a month to figure it all out. So
because then we have, I mean, I think we're the same way, because we'd play the Marlins 10 times, the Braves 10 times, the Phillies 10 times, and the Nationals 10 times. And then what they're saying is they're going to play the opposite division. Okay, so the Mets would play the AL East. So you got the Yankees, Toronto, Baltimore, Boston, and Tampa Bay. So they'll play them each 2 times, I think, is what they're saying. Which then the math doesn't even – 4 times. So what's going to happen then is they're going to go – each team's going to visit the other team once to limit travel, is what they're saying. So it'll be it's like minor league shit, like 5-game series against the Nationals in Washington and 5 games in New York.
Well, I want to know what they're going to do in L.A. because L.A.'s mayor said there's no way they're having live sports in L.A. this year.
I mean, maybe without fans. I mean, yeah, maybe he's talking without fans.
No, he said in period. Nothing.
General, period.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That'll be fun. That'll be fun to watch and see how that pans out. I know in New York they're gonna let them play at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field. I know they're not really having an issue with that. I mean, there's gonna be no fans, so I don't see why that matters at all. Also, The cool thing is 10 teams this year make the playoffs, which technically 10 teams make the playoffs
every year,
don't they?
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to be – I don't know how they're going to do it, why they're saying it like that. Like, are those 10 teams automatically in, and that doesn't make sense. It's not really feasible for each division unless they're going to just combine, and you can have the Mets play like Tampa Bay in a playoff series, which would be hilarious and dope in the same token. But I don't think I don't think they'd go that far out of the norm for this. I don't see why they'd have to, but the way they're saying it, like they're making it sound special, where technically if you look at the playoffs every year, there's 10 teams since they added the second wild card.
I think they just said it because they want to give people a sense of normality when it comes to this, because it's so different from what we've ever had. So maybe they're just putting it out there as like a Band-Aid on the wound.
I mean, that's possible. I'd be curious to see what they say and if there's anything. Also, just a little information drop, and this is something that has just came out of the pike that I'm hearing about, is that the MLB has been talking with Nashville about having 2 teams there of unsigned players, and then they would serve as an emergency pool and would make $400 a week, these players, and the MLB, the teams would have to pay a fee to Nashville to sign one of the players there.
So it's kind of like a player pool almost?
Yeah. And that's really – I don't understand that at all, because then – I mean, what about minor league systems? What about – that doesn't make any sense. So, like, free agents, like right now, probably one of the biggest free agents that's still available is Yasiel Puig. And they're saying he may go to the Giants. Who knows? But that doesn't make any sense to me, why they would need a player pool or anything like that. Doesn't make sense.
No. Especially you have how many countless number of minor league teams that have so many players on them that are available?
Yeah, it doesn't compute to me. And again, this is nothing concrete. This is just something I heard, through the grapevine and all these places, and it could be completely bullshit. But the source I read it from was kind of credible. So it's like, if this happens, I don't see what the point would be, and what they would need a player pool for. I mean, they're already going to be lowering. So the way it's going to work for rosters, from what I understand, is it'll be 30 for the first 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Then it drops to 28 for the second 2 weeks. And then for the 5th week, it drops to just the regular 26, which was implemented last year.
Yes.
25.
But teams have to submit a 60-player roster eligible to play in 2020. So
yeah, it's different than the 40-man. I think they're doing. So that's going to be something else. And also, which is cool, and I think a lot of teams are going to have to adapt to, obviously, in the National League, is the DH is universal this year.
Oh, excuse my language here, but that fucking pissed me off.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, it takes away from the National League game. Like, it doesn't. I like to see strategy. I like to see pitchers hit, bunt, move runners over, pinch hitters, things like that. In an American League game, it doesn't exist. I'm not taking anything away from the American League. We're both National League guys, even though I'm wearing a Yankee hat. Strictly because I'm from New York and I like the hat. No, but it's just one of those things where I don't see why does COVID and suspending a season and starting late, why does that change the rule of the DH? It doesn't make sense to me. Now, I was always a big advocate for, and this sounds so super counterintuitive from what I just said, but I was always a big, advocate for DH all around. Why? Because I think it saves injuries. You have pitchers that are throwing 80 pitches and they still have to go taking at bat. They don't want to swing a bat. And it just, if he's pitching a good game, you want him to hit. But say he's pitching a good game and he's down by 1. And there's runners on first and second or second and third, and it's your pitcher. Do you want to take him out for a pinch hitter, or do you want to leave him in because he's pitching a hell of a game?
I always go with leave him in, but
that's yeah, I know. But that's the whole. It's one of those risks that you take. It's one of those things where okay, that's where a manager makes his money, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the DH. Because it gives guys longevity. Like, you look at Albert Pujols, that guy can't play the field anymore. But he can sure as shit hit.
Yeah.
Look at Encarnacion. Look at, all those guys. They can't play the field anymore, but they can fucking hit and they can mash. And that's the whole thing. So That's where they get their money from. They can bat 250 and hit 48 home runs and make a roster spot. So
Right.
and that's the thing. And looking at it from a Mets standpoint now, where you now have the DH. So before you look at guys like Yasiel Puig, who's available now, right? Why not? And if you're going to be one of the top teams in the National League East and you're looking to make a run, even though, of course, this would be the year the Mets win the World Series and have an asterisk next to their name because that's just how things go. But look at – so what's stopping the Mets from – because before you got too many guys in the outfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you have a guy like Yasiel Puig in the lineup as a DH. That's a no-brainer to me.
Right.
That's a no-brainer. Yeah, and he's not the greatest fielder. I mean, he's got a hell of an arm, but he's not the greatest fielder in the world. And, he's kind of fell off hitting, but wouldn't you want someone that can consistently hit in the mid-20s and home runs in just playing DH for you? And once in a while he plays the field to give someone a rest. Like that that gives flexibility to these rosters, and that's something I'm interested in seeing on how it's going to pan out, where you look at you look at National League teams that now have the luxury of a DH, which they didn't before. So you have guys like teams like Cincinnati, where you have guys like Joey Votto that's kind of, on the downswing. You have guys like
Kyle Schwarber.
I mean, that's huge for you guys as a Cubs fan, because now, he's not the greatest left fielder in the game.
No.
So if he plays DH and you can put someone that can field and can hit, and you have a guy that can bat fourth or fifth or third in your lineup that's playing DH, I mean, that's a no-brainer. And I think that also changes. And it'll be interesting to see how it changes the landscape of free agency now if they stay with this DH rule, or, camp starts July 1st. So, and it goes, you're looking at probably 22, 23 days, right?
Yep.
All these free agents that are out there that can hit, or like, they're kind of on the end of their, I don't know. I have to look. Guy like Logan Morrison, or a guy like, I mean, the Mets have Matt Adams, which is, again, that kind of takes the guessing game out. Of course you put Matt Adams in a DH position. Why? Because he hits 230 a year, but he hits 30 home runs, and he gets you 60, 70 RBIs. So why? That's a no-brainer. And it takes away the ninth batter. It takes away, even though the Mets have the best, hitting pitchers in baseball. So that kind of, whatever. But I'd rather a guy hit 30 home runs in the lineup than a guy that hits 3. But
True.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the landscape and how it changes for this year. And it also, like, I was reading something earlier about the best 60 game stretches in baseball. And there's guys that were just tearing it up. Like, you look at a guy like Mike Trout that'll go cold for a little bit, maybe start the season, and then for 60 games just fucking kill it. And I mean, it's Mike Trout, so of course. But even these guys that you don't hear, like that guy on the White Sox that one year, Nicky Delmonico, who's got some pop from the right side, I believe. That a guy like that in 60 games, you never know. I was talking to, my buddy today who's a Tigers fan. And I'm like, let's say the Tigers go on like a 10-game winning streak, like for no reason whatsoever, because they're playing Kansas City 10 games right to start the bat. You know what I mean? Or they're playing because let's face it, the AL Central is kind of shit. And
well, you know that you're going to say that, and the Tigers are going to fuck around and win the World Series this year.
That's what I mean. Like it could be interesting 60 games. Because what about if you get a team like, because baseball is a game of hot and cold streaks.
Yeah.
So let's say 60 games in, you have the Miami Marlins who are fielding a pretty decent team this year, right?
Yeah.
And they go on a bit of a tear, and they sneak a couple in Washington, they sneak a couple in Atlanta. They beat the Mets a couple times, and they sweep the Phillies in like 4 out of 5 games. And there's like 10 games left, and they're like 3 games out of the 10th playoff position or whatever, or the 5th in the National League. Like that makes it pretty fucking interesting when you think about it. Where it's not a
Yeah.
162 game season, you're losing 100 games, 102 games, and you can have potential playoff matchups that generically would, they wouldn't happen in a regular 162 game season. Like,
right. You're going to give teams a chance like San Diego and Arizona last year, who were so far out of it that didn't have a chance to come back after the All-Star break. You're giving them a chance to get into the playoffs starting game one.
Yeah. So, and that's that is what intrigues me the most about it. I'm intrigued to see what can happen when you have a team that's they're not going to travel that much, so there's going to be no Western road swings. There's going to be no, the factor of being fatigued from travel and having a team like the Mets go out west for 12 games and then having to come back and play a day game after a night, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff, it doesn't exist. So you're taking that variable out and you're adding, all this stuff where they're playing. I mean, in a 60-game season, you're playing your division 40 times. That's a lot. If one bad series, one 5-game bad series could end it for you, depending on how it goes. I mean, think about this scenario: Cubs, Cardinals, last series of the year, 5-game series. The Cubs are behind the Cardinals by 2 games in a 5-game series. That's going to be hilarious to watch. That would be best. That would be the best thing ever. A 5-game series when you're 2 games back, you can lose 2 games and win the next 3 and win and make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
As if it's a 3-game series or a 4-game series, you're kind of fucked.
Well, think of it this way too. If you get to the playoffs, you're going to play teams that you haven't seen at all this year.
Yeah, and
that's going to make it even more interesting.
Yeah, because then you don't know the pitching matchups. You haven't played them already. You don't know their lineups. You don't know anything because let's say the Cubs make it into the playoffs and wind up playing, the Dodgers, who they're not going to see at all this year. Whereas in a normal season, they would have played them 7 times.
Yeah,
would have been like a 4-game and a 3-game home and away or whatever. So
right.
those are all like, I cannot wait for that. Like, that's what I'm excited about the most. Of course, I'm excited baseball is back, and that's great. I get to watch the Mets. I get to, see how the Cubs do. I get to watch, like teams like the Yankees and, battle Boston, 20 times or whatever the case may be, 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying 20, and I don't fucking know why. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, and it's just things like that. And then it's so weird because the trade deadline this year is August 31st.
Yeah.
So a month after the season starts, you're gonna have people trying to scramble to see what they could do. I don't see this trade deadline being as like usually it's at the end of July, right? But you're starting baseball at like the end of March, like the last week in March. So you got April, May, June, and pretty much all of July to kind of see where your weaknesses are. This time, you only have a month. So this is going to be either teams are going to go out and just get what they want. And then again, how do you value trade pieces at that point in a month? Especially for a guy, and I'd be interested to see how they do, MLB service time for the youngsters, how they do, like, mainly how they value players. Like, all right, let's say a guy like Schwarber, who I've always talked to you about how I think the Cubs should trade him. And he the type of player he is. He'll hit 30 some odd home runs. He'll get you 70, 80 RBIs. He'll bat about 280. He's a decent ball player and, at the plate.
Yep.
But say in the first month, he kind of, because of all this bullshit, and he hasn't really been training, and they only have 20 days to train, and he comes out, he kind of has, mediocre. He's batting 240. He's got like 10 home runs, whatever. He's not fucking blowing anything up. Does his trade value go down because they're basing it off the first month? or are they going to base it off what he did last year, including this?
That's a great question. I mean, I know that the transaction starts today. You're allowed to make trades starting today, but who knows what these guys have really been doing in the offseason, though. I mean, some of them have been training. Some of them have been sitting on TikTok. Some of them, God knows what. But
some of them have been playing MLB The Show.
Right. Simulated games. So,
yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm interested in. Like, great, there's baseball. I fucking love it.
Yep.
But all these little storylines on how this shit is going to go is going to be the interesting part to me. And, you know, some of the other interesting stuff. So you have, you know, in order for a player to be eligible for the playoffs, he has to be with an organization by September 15th. So you have to assume, so that, I mean, there's 60 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
The season starts on the 23rd. They're looking at 6 days off for the whole thing, from what I'm understanding. September 15th. So you're looking at the playoffs are probably going to start regular time, I think, is what they're looking at. So playoffs will start in, you know, the end of September, like they normally do. Going to October, that's going to be, you know, the playoff structure, the normal structure is what they wanted. But you can sign a guy on the 13th of September, like, just because, and he's playoff eligible for the team only in 13 days. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, I've never heard of that before.
It's a mad world we live in right now, so why not?
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, again, you know, it may come off that we're bitching about it, you know, but I just want to know, and it's not even bitching. It's kind of like, oh, how is this shit gonna work? Because
It's never been done before.
It's never been done. And then, you know, the funny shit is, the best part about this are the health rules that they're throwing out there.
Oh,
These are the best things I've ever heard of. Because, okay, so the manual originally was 67 pages. Like the health manual, it's now 101. Like they literally, it's 101. That's the exact number of every player and every organization and every employee of every organization has this 101-page manual. That's insane. I can't think of 101 pages of any health anything other than like maybe 4 simple things. Don't fucking touch anybody. Don't like what else needs to be in there? I don't understand. There's just some funny shit, like, especially, all right, so pitchers on the mound can't lick their fingers. If they lick their fingers and touch the ball has to be thrown out. I'm willing to bet, and mark my words, that there's going to be so much money lost in the amount of baseballs that they have to fucking throw out in these 60 games. That, or it's going to happen and go unnoticed. Because let's be honest, everyone's mindset that's going into this baseball season is set on baseball. They've done this before several years. Yeah, this is unprecedented times, right? But is an umpire that's behind the plate looking at the pitcher licking his fingers all the time? No, because he's going about this as, oh, I'm umping a baseball game, and you go into baseball mode. So I'd be curious to see, like, what, I don't know. It's some of this shit that happens, like, okay, so for instance, so batters, right? Any player, we'll say any player except pitchers, they have to bring their own pine tar, their own bat donuts, their own pretty much everything. All rags, everything, they have to bring themselves. The team can't give it to them. Okay, what are they doing outside of this season? What are these motherfuckers doing with the rags and the pine tar that would merit them getting a disease?
I mean, unless they're putting their mouth on it or inserting it or anally.
Yeah. Oh, that's gross. But what are they? Yeah. What can they be? I mean, that's got to be rough with pine tar up there. But what could they?
A little sticky.
What could they be doing? Like, I mean, I guess I could understand the rag. I mean, I was 13 once, but I don't understand how pine tar or rag or a bat donut, like, if there's so many backwards things in this, and I think they did it, and I get it. You got to be cautious. I get it.
here's the thing I'm looking at too. These people are supposed to be smart and supposed to be the best people to put these 101 pages together.
Yeah.
They obviously are not following all of the CDC regulations. They don't know that this virus can't live on a non-human organism for less than 2 hours. Actually, it dies within 2 minutes when it touches something non-human.
I think that's what I mean. At the beginning of this, they said it could last. Like, I remember getting super nervous, like when this first started, because they're like, "Oh, it can live on plastic bags for 7 days," and like we'd bring
Bullshit.
groceries home and like dump everything out on the kitchen floor, and fucking wipe everything down. Like, but then they come back out and go, "Nah, just kidding. It's not.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with that." And it's like, then again, you really have no idea. And I mean, to end this is my favorite thing ever. So I walk around today. I'll go for a walk outside, and I'll do my 2 miles, 3 miles around my neighborhood, and I'll spit about 40 times because that's just who I am. People could think I'm gross. I don't give a fuck. I spit. I play baseball my whole life. Everyone spits. Not this year. You can't spit once. Not even sunflower. You can't even have sunflower seeds. Let me ask you this. So if I spit, I'm a human. I'm not spitting on anyone else. Now, I understand 6 feet because of the way, you don't see the particles and how fast they can travel, and they showed it, and I get that. But I want to know this. I want to know who's going to be the first asshole in Major League Baseball, whether it be an umpire or a spectator. I want to know who's going to call out a player for spitting. I cannot wait for the first fine.
I know who.
Your spit suspension. That's going to be the first spit suspension ever.
Angel Hernandez will do it.
No, oh man. I can't wait to see who's going to be the first guy to like call $1 million player out. Like, hey, Bryce Harper, you can't spit. Get the fuck out of here. I'll do what the fuck I want. Like, I'm not spitting on anybody. I'm standing in the outfield 10 feet away from the next guy. More than that.
Right.
Fielder and right fielder. If I spit on the grass, who's gonna fucking catch anything?
Right. And you're
yell at me? I see not in the dugout. Okay, that's fine. But if I'm in the field and I spit, go fuck yourself. Like,
right.
What does it matter to you?
And you're telling me that in the middle of like Los Angeles or Arizona, if the roof's open, or Florida, who's got like god awful hot temperatures right now, you spit on the ground and the virus isn't going to be killed by the heat? Well, get the fuck out of here.
I mean, from what I understand, the heat doesn't kill it. I don't know. They gone back and forth on that too, just like the fucking surface thing. So I don't know. I just can't believe that. Like, it's even down like you can't, like, and it even goes in to say like gum is prohibited. Oh, thank you for letting me chew gum. Like, I appreciate you.
You said it's prohibited.
No, it's I did?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking yeah. No, it's okay. You can chew gum.
It's permitted.
It's permit. There you go. I used the wrong P word. So, I mean, and the other thing that makes me laugh is they're doing the national anthems before games, and they're
doing it like recorded.
I guess so. And they're also doing God Bless America.
That's the same dumb shit they're doing in NASCAR right now. They're getting these big name artists.
Nobody is here to watch the national anthem or to sing God Bless America. Are they going to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game in the 7th inning stretch too? Fuck out of here.
Maybe.
Why? But why prolong the games if they're so worried about having, the virus and people being in contact? Play the fucking game and get the fuck out of there.
Exactly.
Nobody's watching the game except from your home.
Right.
Nobody is at the stadium unless maybe you're a couple scouts and coaching staff and maybe a couple TV crews and the announcers. Nobody's in the stands. Nobody is singing the goddamn songs. I get it. We're American. Stars and Stripes, awesome. But it seems counterintuitive to sit there and say, well, we have to play the games that are not in front of fans. We have to have minimal contact. We can't do anything. We can't touch each other. You can't spit. You can't put your own fucking pine tar on the bat. But let's sing the national anthem and let's sing God Bless America at the end of the 5th inning.
It's all about nostalgia.
Yeah,
Making
but
it,
what nostalgia for who? The birds?
I
No one's
guess,
watching the
but
game.
also too, who knows? Like state to state basis, we might have some fans in the stands before the end of the first month.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe. Who knows? Obviously, not California.
Right.
I don't think New York. It'll probably be some like places like Arizona, who was like ready to go 3 months ago. Like the fucking virus hit, he's like, "Oh, we'll hold baseball, soccer, basketball. We'll do everything." Like what?
Right.
Okay.
Actually, he had a really good idea with the whole spring training thing. Like, just bring all the teams into Arizona, let them play in that area.
Yeah, but now like that's where the shit is spiking too. Like they're in Florida, like they're about to start basketball back up and MLS soccer and everything, and they
Yeah.
had the highest cases in one day of 5,000. So it's like, okay, well, and those, and again, I understand people like they don't think this is a big deal or whatever, and I'm starting to like, I'm not doubt it by any means, and I don't want to say that so people and our listeners think that I think this is full of shit, but like, let's be honest. At some point, at some point, shit is going to have to get back to normal.
Exactly.
You can't like hold these people in a bubble. I mean, I've been in my house for way too fucking long. Like, yeah, I do
Yes.
shit. I was so happy last weekend, birthday weekend, got out with the family, played mini golf. I was like, this is great. Outside life. Like, it was fantastic. And then, I would love to be able to go to a baseball game. Like, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be minor league baseball this year. Why? Because it's not the same as regular baseball where they make money off endorsements. You look at
Right.
the South Bend Cubs. How are you going to play? How can they play? How do they pay players when you got no receipt, no gate receipts, and no one's buying food? That's the only way minor league baseball makes money.
Exactly.
So there is absolutely no way that the in my eyes, I don't see it happening for minor league baseball, and that sucks because you have teams that that are around that just get by, and then you have teams like the South Bend Cubs who won a championship what was it, last year, right?
Yeah.
They won the championship for the Midwestern League, and then you have teams like we had Gary on. With the Brooklyn Cyclones, and they're big in New York, and Staten Island Yankees, of course, and these teams aren't going to play, and people like going to those games. People like going to minor league baseball. Why? Because of what happened earlier and a couple months ago. These major league baseball players can be whiny babies sometimes, and so can the owners, and it's gross sometimes. Like, there should have been baseball a month and a half ago. Explain to me how Korea, one of the epicenters of this shit, is able to have no fans in baseball and have baseball start, but we can't? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
It's because they play for the love of the game, not all the money.
Yeah, and that to me, and I really think this year is going to be the telltale and everything of where baseball goes from here, because now you're depending on a product that people can't go out and watch and have to watch it on TV. Now, if you don't make it interesting, and which I think they are. I mean, even, and one thing I didn't touch on and I forgot to, so I'm sorry. Extra innings, they're putting a runner on second.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
No, but you know what? I mean, I think that's their way of like, oh, it goes into extra innings. Let's not drag it out. Let's try to make it end quicker. Like, I sort of get it. I mean, it's sort of like, I mean, I'm the type of guy, like, when you look at hockey, I hate the shootout. I fucking can't stand it. But because all it is a skills competition for the fans.
Exactly.
The goals that they score don't even get recorded in their yearly total.
Well, that's dumb.
Yeah, it doesn't count in their yearly total. If you're not scoring in the overtime, in the 4 periods for overtime, so first, second, third, and the 5-minute overtime, if you score in the shootout, doesn't count in their yearly total at all, their points total. So, I mean, that's bullshit. Yeah, but, I mean, I'm curious to see how all this pans out. I mean, I'm looking to see what free agents and what guys that are going to start getting picked up because of the rule changes. I'm looking to see what teams try to make little better moves, or if there's a trade that comes down before, like you look at a guy, that runs Seattle. God, I forget the GM's name. It's on the tip of my tongue. I should know this because I actually like Seattle. I'll get it, and I'll apologize to you guys in advance. But that guy makes trades. He'll make the team will come out in April to play, and he'll make a trade on April 15th.
Yep.
For like a big arm or whatever. Like that's just the way he operates, and it'd be fun to see what happens now. Like, okay, so we have the guidelines, baseball starting July 23rd. All right, we got 60 games. I think I can compete, but I need that one extra piece, and I have 60 games to make the playoffs. What can my team do to do so? And what other teams need? So I'm curious to see, like, the storylines that come out of this. Like, if teams like, again, I use the Cubs. I use the Mets, too. The Cubs with Schwarber, the Mets with Dom Smith, or, a guy like, Brandon Nimmo or someone like that, almost got traded but didn't. But he could have. Mm-hmm. So, do they go out there with a team that now has a guy that's out? Do they need an outfielder? Yeah, we do. Okay, give me this. For this, I'll take, whatever the need is for the team. And to do it in a 60 game, that's like the regular trade deadline for baseball during a regular season. That's what would be left, because it would be the end of July. So then you have August and September left.
Yeah.
So you're looking at like 66 days or so. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. It's the same thing with, injuries and like guys that are coming off Tommy John. Like, look at Cespedes on the Mets. He says he's ready to go now.
Yeah.
If the season started in March, he probably wouldn't have played till June. But now he's going to start the 60 games and he's going to play for the Mets. Perfect DH candidate.
Right.
You don't have to worry about him getting hurt in the field. Just put him behind the plate, let him run the bases. I mean, okay. I mean, he's a great fielder. He's got a gun, but I mean, now you find value in players now that weren't there before because of this situation. So,
well, I'm still waiting to see who's going to bitch up first, because they're only getting paid like that prorated 37% of the full season. That's going to turn a lot of the guys off a little bit, I'm sure, but they agreed to it, so maybe not.
I mean, it's getting to the point now where they kind of want to watch what they say, because I mean, I'm a baseball fan. I love baseball. But it was getting to the point with these negotiations, and, obviously Rob Manfred, he needs to go. The guy's a fucking idiot. But how much money do you fucking want? Like, the league minimum is what? 750,000?
725, I think.
725?
Yeah.
Fuck right off.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. I don't even make a quarter of that. Like, you're going to bitch and moan about playing a kid's game that I can go and watch at a fucking softball field or whatever. You're making all this money and endorsements. Like, you got guys like Bryce Harper and Blake Snell, and they're like, oh, we're not going to play because we're not. Dude, you make fucking $110 million. Oh, no, you're only making $30 million this year. Fuck off. Like,
well, I'm pretty sure me and you could probably walk onto the Orioles organization right now, so maybe we can get that money.
Dude, I would give half of a bet. If anyone wants to place this bet for $100, I will chip in 50 that the Orioles win the World Series this year. I'm just curious. Can you imagine?
I'd love. Okay, I will check the Vegas odds on them winning the World Series this year.
Yeah.
Once the season starts, because I guarantee you it's probably like 50,000 to 1.
See, and that's the thing. I don't know that now, because now it's a 60-game season. What if the Orioles go on like a fucking tear for some odd reason?
It's still the Orioles, though. You remember the first show we did?
Yeah, I know. It's funny, though.
Yeah. I mean, that they're going to have the roughest. Yeah. I doubt it'll happen. I doubt they'll even make the playoffs.
Anything can happen, man. I mean, that's the whole beauty of this 60-game season at this point, is that anything can happen. Who the fuck knows? You got imagine a playoff series between Miami and fucking Colorado. Two teams that aren't poised to really do much. Or
I'm looking it up now. I'm sorry, I have to.
Look it up. I'd be curious to know what it is, because why wouldn't I bet $10 on the Orioles to win the World Series? And if they do, I make 10 grand.
Okay, so obviously the number one team out of everybody, 3-1 odds, is the Yankees.
Really? Not the Dodgers?
No, the Dodgers are in a close second, 6-1.
And this is updated as of when?
This is current as of right now. This is Vegas.com.
So the Dodgers aren't number one.
No, it's Yankees, Dodgers, Astros, Braves, Phillies. Those are the top 5.
The Phillies. What a fucking waste. I wouldn't bet on the Phillies if you gave me a free bet.
But they're kind of in a 3-way tie with the Cardinals and the Nats.
Where are the Mets on this list?
Right next to them at 18-1.
I'll take 18-1. But where are the Orioles?
The Orioles are all the way at the bottom in a 3-way tie with the Tigers and the Marlins at 1,000-1 odds.
I'd take it. 1,000-1. So I bet $10. Dude.
Yeah.
What? I bet the Marlins are not going to be as bad as everyone thinks. And then you add a 60-game series to a 60-game series. Fuck. A 60-game.
That's what it's like.
Oh yeah, kind of, yeah. You add a 60-game season to that where they're only playing 60 games. What if they 500 ball through 30 games, 15-15?
Yeah.
I mean, that's. I think that'll put you only single digits behind a league leader, a division leader. I mean,
well, yeah,
and that's the whole thing. That's the beauty of it. So, I think obviously these odds will change once the season starts. But I would 100%, and I'm going to do it. I will put $10 on the Orioles. I'll put $10 on the Tigers and $10 on the Marlins.
Let's take that 45-minute drive and go do it.
Firekeepers?
No,
Blue Chip?
Blue Chip.
All right. Shout out to the Blue Chip Casino in Michigan City. Sponsor us.
Yes, please.
No, but yeah, I mean, I would do it. $30, $30 in bets, and if one of those teams even sniffs it, I'll be happy. Chances are they won't, and I'll lose $30. But fuck it. What do I have to lose besides $30?
Exactly.
I mean, there's nothing.
And I think there's 5 teams on this list right now that are all projected at 30-1 odds. And yes, both Chicago teams are in that little bracket. I think those are the ones. Yeah, 30-1 odds.
Dude, that's fucking weird. Where is Cincinnati?
Right next to them.
30-1?
Yeah.
Dude, that would be a phenomenal bet. Those 3 teams, too, would be a phenomenal bet at this point.
Yeah.
Because Cincinnati's got a hell of a team. The Cubs are the Cubs. They're good. And the Chicago White Sox are right there in that shitty division.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, there's going to be I got to talk to Verge. I got to see what he has to say about this, because there's going to be I'm curious that these casinos are going to be flooded, because it's the same thing. And again, I'll cover this. The episode will be out Monday for hockey, but it's the same thing with hockey. And again, the same thing with baseball. There is a clean slate right now. None of these teams are doing anything. You've now compressed the season, and you're having these guys just go out there. You're only giving them 20 days for training. Yeah, granted, probably some of them have been doing some stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Baseball can do it in 20 days. Hockey, probably not.
I mean, look at the start of every regular season where you have teams that they'll be like, oh, the Yankees are going to be the best team, and they go on like a 12-game losing streak or some shit. Then they pick it up, and towards the end, obviously, they make the playoffs. You go on a 10-game losing streak now, you're done. You went from favorite to last in 10 games.
Right, yeah.
So, and that's the thing. So you can have a team like Miami. You can have a team like Detroit, who plays in a shitty division. I mean, they go on a tear. You can have a team like Toronto, who was on the cusp. We talked about this in our AL East preview show. They're on the cusp. They got a young team. They got good pitching. They got Ryu. They got all these guys that can, play the game well. They go on a tear and they win the World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. You look at a team like Colorado, who, they suffer a little bit, but they're going to be playing, 30 of their games away from that stadium, 30 of their games in that stadium. Arenado and Story, they have a hell of a year. They start the year hot and their pitching's all right, and they do. Who knows? Maybe they win the division.
Yeah.
So it's all a guessing game at this point, and I'm really excited to see what goes on and how the season plays out. I mean, 60 games. There's all these. I mean, I can't wait. I want to see if there's a prop bet for who gets suspended for spitting first.
I want to put a bet on who hits Altuve first.
Ooh. I'm curious even if that's even died down at this point, because now there's that whole thing that the Yankees cheated now too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that. So maybe that's died down. Who knows? Because no one's really talking about that anymore. I mean, it doesn't. If the season would have started when it was supposed to, I think it would have been a bigger deal. Now that it's not.
Yeah.
It's this long gap and it's kind of died down. I don't think anyone gives a shit.
Well, if you go on HBO right now, there's a documentary on there that's called "The Shot Heard Around the World."
Okay.
And of course, it's about Brooklyn and the Giants.
Uh-huh.
They admitted on the documentary of how they stole signs at the Polo Grounds.
See, because back then, I mean, that's all they had. They didn't even have video, really.
Yeah.
So they would have someone coding. They'd have like some kid that they picked up on the corner at the fucking corner store, like, hey, you'll watch this shit and then tell me what it is.
Well, do you remember that box that was like 400, 500 feet out in center field that had two little windows in it?
Probably someone had binoculars.
They had binoculars, and they had the exact same method of the Astros and banging on a trash can.
I mean, and that's the thing. And to some people, they say it's an art.
Yeah.
But it's when it got to the electronic use of buzzers and whatever that they say, that's when you cross the line. Like if you're stealing signs generic, organically, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fuck it, you're smart at that point. It's like counting cards at that point.
Yeah.
Like, God, if you can do that, God bless you. I want to be your friend because I want to take you to the casino, but also you're fucking smart. Like,
right.
If you can read signs and know what the other team's going to do based on the algorithm that they're putting out there, good on you. But then if you're starting to cheat electronically, that's when it becomes an issue. So I'm not really mad at the fact that because let's face it, every single fucking team is trying to steal the other team's signs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like that whenever, because you want that advantage. But it's when you start to do it when it's unfair and you're using other methods that becomes the issue.
Exactly.
In my eyes, that's the issue. So, yeah, guys, again, happy to be back with Who's On First. Happy to have Dave back in the booth. Hopefully we'll get him into the studio soon. You can check us out, Game On Everyone on Twitter, Game On Sports Podcast on Instagram. Check us out, Game On Sports Podcast for Everyone on YouTube. This will be up on YouTube. So looking forward to hearing from you guys. And
you forgot one. It's important.
Which one is that?
Look for us on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. Look for us on TikTok. Definitely look for us on TikTok. It's a real shit show. I can tell you that much.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Carlos.
Yeah. Shout out to Carlos. Well, guys, have a good night. Appreciate you guys for listening. Game on.
Game on.
At the track, at the wall. Goal! Drive home safely!